Look, if you don't want to make that change within yourself, it's not going to get better. This might not apply to everybody, but if you feel like you're rock bottom, okay, and you're hoping for a better day, but you literally are doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, that's the definition of insanity. You are provided with a choice every day. You are provided with multiple choices throughout the entire day. Take that choice, make that change. You've identified a problem. You're saying you're rock bottom. Got it. You're there now. There's only one way, and it's up. So change your mindset. Use that choice and go a freaking different direction. Love y'all. Faceman VTT out.
Day 3 of retirement. As an infantryman, I was asked if I could clean the sink. So let's look at this. Definitely some kind of grime on there. And I open up the cabinet. What do I use? Nothing comes to mind. Like my experiences, my skill set. Nothing. Wait a minute. Everyone knows this is how you clean everything. Infantry, retired.
You can take it.
Would you like a military discount?
Oh, do you offer one?
Honest cap of the day.
Thank you.
CC's Pizza is the county fair of restaurants. You go in there, you look around, you feel a little bit better about yourself, then you realize that you're in there too. Tell me I'm wrong. Well, let's be honest. You know, not everybody's made for this life. It's scary. You know, you gotta jump out of a plane while it's moving. That's not natural. It's high, it's fucking wet outside sometimes, it's snowy, it's hot, it's dry, it's shitty. Who the fuck would want to be airborne? Best job I ever had.
VTT is a proud partner of Veteran Trash Talk and has bought into the mission of lowering the veteran suicide rate. VTT wants to hire veteran trash talkers to install GPS tracking systems on fleet vehicles, focusing on Illinois, New Jersey, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee, but opportunities exist nationwide. Go to www.fleet-techs.com and apply today.
Yeah. Let's do this. What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome to episode 106 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is John Boy with Veteran One Stop. And today I'm joined by Nick and Buddy. Cheers. What's up, everybody?
Man, cheers. Hey,
How's it going?
So those of you watching, okay, there is a comment.
We're going to start it off.
There is a comment on the screen right now that we have to take off before Facebook shuts us down. But, you know, we have to deal with this once in a while. And here's Mr. Anderson. So feel free to go talk to him. Maybe he needs a hug.
Mr. Anderson, he definitely needs a hug.
He needs a hug because he called all of the admin. I think you could read it there. Yeah, like butt fuck Air Scout pussies, something like that. And he's exactly what we're trying to avoid on our page. Like that is exactly what we don't want. Right now, we say veteran trash talk because all of us are really squared away in the military. Buddy was, pretty much squared away. But like we
most decorated soldier we know.
Yeah,
he was the staff sergeant for like 20 years, but still, most decorated soldier we know.
We lasted a long time. We didn't get demoted. Sometimes it's because we didn't get caught. But but for the most part, we were really professional people. And that's kind of what we did with Veteran Trash Talk was, you know what? You can't say that to people, all right, on our page. You can't call somebody a faggot on our page. We don't allow that, right? Because it's not cool. It's not even
let alone not even just a faggot. Like, there's a whole litany of terms to use that we aren't good with.
Yeah, and it's like it's hilarious.
If you want to complain, just go somewhere else. It's our page too.
Yeah,
so
we
fuck
don't.
Off.
Yeah, yeah. And then
here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing about, like, if we were in an infantry company and you had said that to me, one of us would end up with a broken fucking nose. But you're protected behind your keyboard and behind the internet, so you say whatever.
He's got a sweet picture. He's jacked. Dude. He's huge.
Yeah, we call that woodline counseling back in the day. Yeah, woodline counseling. Yeah, early 2000s.
You know what else is jack? The 2x4 or the tire iron I'd fucking hit you with. I'm not too good to cheat.
Yeah, I mean, he's already said he'll kick dogs. So just think about it. If someone was willing to kick dogs for pooping, doing what they're supposed to do, but no. And again, so he said your admin must be Air Scout folks, and I don't know what that means. I don't know what an Air Scout is, but it sounds to me like that's better than a normal scout. Right? Like if you're an Air Scout,
it's got to be.
You're better than another scout. Because you're an Air Scout.
Because air. So it's like an airborne.
It's like an airborne scout, whatever. But again, you see the logo behind us. This is a dumpster fire. We don't know what the hell we're talking about. Like this literally just happened like 2 minutes before the show started. That's why we started a little late because we got to put this up there.
Unscripted and raw is what we call
it. Hey, you can message us back. So we're the admin. We have other admin too that were pokes, right? And because they weren't grunts. But I mean, I was just an airborne ranger qualified guy. I wasn't anything special, right? And then Buddy's just a Green Beret airborne ranger qualified, but he's nothing special. And then Dave, I mean, he used to be cool, but then he went recruiter, right? And
you know what, Nick? You know what I'll tell you about Air Scout admin pogues or whatever. You know how hard it would be to fight a war without an enabler or two, without a couple people bringing you some bullets and maybe some chow and mail every now and again. Possibly purifying some water for you.
Yeah, we like the term
kind of important, right? Kind of important.
I mean, John Boy was a pogue, right? And that's fine, right? He was a medic, okay. And again, we don't. It's not supposed to be an insult.
Whoa! First of all,
I'm a leg.
Medics aren't pogues.
Oh, here we go. They literally are, buddy. If you use it as the acronym, what it's meant for, right? It is what it is. Like the guy shaving my balls when I got my vasectomy, he's a pogue. Right, he's not a combat medic.
No.
Right, that's
a healthcare specialist.
No, he's a medic.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me that John Boy is the one that shaved your balls?
No, that would be really cool. We would have to do a segment on that if that was what happened. But no,
that'd be a great show.
That would be awesome. So I would just probably remind him every 5 seconds about that. But no. So anyways, we don't. We don't allow that stuff on Veteran Trash Talk. Okay, Veteran Trash Talk is for us to have the camaraderie in the barracks. People who talk like you, Smith, did not breed camaraderie. All right, you didn't breed teams. Yeah, you didn't make teams. You didn't make anybody happy. All you did was make people feel uncomfortable. And we don't want you around. So go somewhere else. Just bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. All right, let's go, Dave. Let's go, Dave.
Yeah. I was going to jump into
trash talk and being a dick.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to jump into the conspiracy real quick, but I kind of want to talk about Elon Musk real quick, man. What's your thought on this whole Twitter and now he finally owns it, man? And dude, I saw some tweets there was this liberal, crazy liberal and whatever, tweeting the gates of hell have opened up now because
somebody's allowing free speech. Yeah, that's literally
no shit.
Liberal. That is literally
hell.
Did you see the message between him and the program manager? That was like, and Elon
Fired a
Musk was
bunch
like,
of people too.
I
Yeah.
did a lot of pretty hardcore coding back in the day. I want to talk to the engineers. And he's like, well, I could talk to him. And he was like, nah, I don't want to talk to the program manager. I want to talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about.
He fired
Damn it.
He fired the whatever the content reviewer on the spot, like fired her on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was
And he
awesome.
walked into the building carrying a sink, and then he tweeted, let this sink in or let that sink in. He's just Elon's a gangster, man.
Yeah, and he's gonna be dead soon though.
Nah.
Right. And I think that's a good Nick, that's a good segue into what we're about to talk about. Yeah, that's good. Good job, Nick. Very good. Very good. So Buddy called me the other day. It was like 2 a.m. He was drunk. He went down that rabbit hole again. He was stuck on TikTok and YouTube. If you haven't followed Buddy's TikTok, you should go check it out because he's always arguing with everybody that comments on his shit. And he called me. He's like, Dave, I need to talk to you, man. Like Illuminati, like Kanye West, cancel culture, and like who the fuck killed Tupac? So I had to bring him down a little bit because Buddy was stressing out, just really wigging out. So I was like, I don't know. So we're going to briefly talk about this. So we're going to start off with Tupac, essentially, and that kind of can be the conspiracy that, a lot of people think he's alive, he escaped, or he faked his own death.
In Cuba.
I personally, yes, Cuba, but I personally think that, if you listen to Tupac back in the 90s, which I listened to him religiously, I loved Pac. It was fucking badass. He always talked about the Illuminati and going against the grain and speaking out about, poverty in the Black community and how they can change. I mean, Change is a song in itself. If you listen to it now, it's extremely relevant to what is going on today, right? And he talks about the Illuminati, that they are in control of Hollywood and all this crazy stuff. And that his famous quote was, basically, he claimed he was being followed. Beware of fake accounts. Their job is to distract you. The Illuminati are all about power. This is why you see powerful names getting locked up or killed. Okay. And then suddenly he disappears. All right. Some would say Michael Jackson was doing the same thing. There are some songs where Michael Jackson suddenly starts talking about, Hollywood and how they're taking over and the power that be. And then he's suddenly sick and apparently was doing the pedophilia stuff, which I don't know. And then he dies. Okay. Bill Cosby, Buddy's probably going to hit on that. Kind of a same scenario. And now we got Kanye West, who is literally losing everything and being canceled everywhere. But essentially, like, Kanye is crazy, okay? He is bipolar, all right? Shout out to Kanye. He's amazing artist, great music and everything.
Maybe he will.
But, you never know, man. We're going to hashtag it.
I don't know that he
You never know. We might get some free Yeezys, right?
Is he allowed on Facebook? Let's see. Yeah.
I don't know. Probably not Facebook. He'll probably be allowed on Twitter, though.
Yeah, we'll get him on Twitter.
Obviously, he's been canceled. I think he lost his deal with, what was it, Nike or whoever, or Adidas. They're not letting him into,
it was Adidas, but
certain
he wanted
buildings.
out of that.
Yeah,
but he went on this contract anyway.
He went on the show Drink Champs. You guys probably don't know what that is, but it's Capone Noriega. Used to be a pretty famous rapper back in the day. He does a show and they invite rappers and they get drunk on the show and then they just talk about stuff. And Kanye just went loose, because he talks about like how, talks about how Jews took over Hollywood and all kinds of crazy shit. Okay, again, big takeover. They're telling you what you need to say. They pay you what you need to say. And if you don't do it, then they're going to cancel you. And then like everybody went against Drink Champs and they had to actually apologize. Like I watched Noriega apologize on a different show. Like, yeah, I shouldn't have had Kanye on. Like that shit's fucked up. So long story short, I think Kanye's going to end up dead too soon. Maybe Illuminati, it's coming, because now he's considered crazy. He's on drugs. He's not taking his pills. I just think he was married to fucking Kim Kardashian too long because that'll drive you fucking nuts, Pete Davidson was making fun of Kanye, but he lasted 6 months and then ended up in a mental institution after they broke up. So who the fuck knows, right? But anyhow, I'm going to go to the guest first. Big picture, okay? Illuminati. Did Illuminati kill Pac? All right. Is there a big conspiracy where these, top fucking artists are suddenly speaking up and then are getting canceled because they're not going, with whatever they want them to do? It's your take. Tell us what you think.
Well, the only conspiracy I've ever heard about Kanye, as far as Tupac is some doubt that he died at all. So I don't know if he just needed a vacation, wanted to get out of the control, and he's over there in Venezuela chilling. But
Venezuela, Cuba,
Cuba. But as far as the Kanye take,
Kennedy will find him.
You know, ever since that car accident he had, right? That sent him like the whole where the Wire album was based off of. It might just be an effect of trauma, you know. I mean, I think that's probably the issue with our buddy over there, the Air Scout. You know, never got help.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Andrew, you can come to El Paso. I'll high five you. I'll give you a hug, and then I'll take you to the veterans one stop, and you get some help. Right? You actually talk to somebody.
I mean, the 7-day theory with Pac is crazy because, like, he was shot on 7 September, okay, at the age of 25. 2 + 5 is 7, all right? Died at 4:03 a.m. 4 + 3 is 7. And then his B-Day is June 1st. 6 + 1 is 7. You know, that's like the 7-day theory. So it was like a big, you know, he's still alive. He faked his death. And, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Illuminati was, like, after him. And then, yeah, who knows?
Antarctica?
But anyway. So Kanye getting canceled. So overall, you think Tupac is still alive? No connection with the Illuminati, with all these other big artists, you know, but ended up dead. And I know Buddy's got a lot to say right now. He's probably, you know, going nuts over there. But
okay. Usually he's got dropped. I think he's well reserved.
Yeah,
Like the dog's excited.
What's your take, buddy?
What's your take, buddy?
No, so this is the whole thing, right? The Kanye thing, like, first of all, people have said that Kanye West was crazy and stupid. They've been saying that for the last, 10 years? And he went from asking people for money to being a billionaire to back. Now he's only got like $500 million. So, you know, poor fucking.
Buddy, it really started. It wasn't back in the day. They love Kanye. It started when he supported Trump. That's when it really started, when they started going after him.
Even before that, people were like, yeah, Kanye is crazy. Like, Kanye does some crazy stuff. And then they were like, oh, I can't believe it. And then he said this. But other than Kanye, like, let's look at the list. We'll just go through the short list. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, we'll hit up Tupac, Kanye, Bill Cosby, just those 5. Like, whenever people start, the only thing that those people have in common are 2 things. 1, they're African American. 2, they turned their back on victimhood and started saying, take responsibility for yourself. Kanye was just saying, like, hey, stop buying shoes, start buying land. Like, America's for sale.
Or his shoes. Tupac, his shoes.
He doesn't want to sell his shoes for as much as he's selling shoes for anymore. That was another big thing. Why he wanted out of Adidas, because he wanted to sell them for prices that people could afford. Then they got, you know, Bill Cosby was saying the same thing. And then all of a sudden he's roofing chicks. Like, not a huge deal, but if you look back to the timeline when Bill Cosby was roofing ladies, he was a super rich, super good looking dude in Hollywood. He was like Tiger Woods. He didn't have to. He said no to more 10s than I've ever seen in my life. He didn't have to roofie people to have sex with them. Like, if he wanted to, he could have had sex with whoever he wanted to have sex with.
Well, maybe that was his issue. Somebody said
when he's 80 something years old, and now he's saying, hey, we need to take responsibility and we need to fix ourselves. Well, now all of a sudden we're like, oh, we've got all these freaking, you know, women that are charging him with roofing them. Okay, cool. Like, Tupac started with, like, you know, we got the album that had changes on it where we're talking about eating right and taking care of ourselves and not being in gangs and taking care of our community. And then all of a sudden we're dead. Martin Luther King, we're talking about, hey, don't judge somebody by judge them by the content of the character and not by the color of their skin. That counts for all people. Like, your character has to be good. Malcolm X, when he's saying, hey, like, we need to
be careful of the rich white
liberal.
liberal. It's exactly what
exactly. Don't count on somebody else to fix you. Let's fix ourselves, and then we can take over whatever. You know what I mean? And then we either end up in jail or dead, and nobody's like, well, no, that's just coincidence. I guess maybe it could be a coincidence for a couple, but not for every single one. Like, I can't think of one, like a person that said those things and then didn't end up in jail or dead.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And Mikey in a chat says, I mean, if Teriyaki 6875. Obviously, he means Takashi 69 can avoid getting schwacked after narking out everybody, then anything is possible. The fact that Kanye hasn't been yeeted yet is not short of miraculous. So Kanye's going to end up dead, according to Mike. And Mike's got a good point. I mean,
I don't think you know what. I don't think he ends up dead.
I know she does.
Megan hates Kanye, so she's happy he got iced.
I don't think he ends up dead, though. I think he ends up like they try to ruin him to make a point for other people that might say or do the same thing.
Exactly, because you ruin his credibility on the media, which doesn't mean anything to us. But when you ruin his credibility to the people who follow the media like sheep, right, then whatever he says doesn't matter anymore.
I want to add that he is crazy. Kanye is crazy. Like, he was doing like threats to like Kim and the kids and stuff. Like, so let's not. But then again, all that could not be true either. That's, that could all just be.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You never know.
What do we believe then, Because
here's the thing with that entire group of people. You never know what they're doing in order to manipulate the media and the system so that they can, because they're 2 or 3 moves ahead. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Kim Kardashian would have never even been famous had she not had sex with Ray J on a video and it got leaked. You know what I mean? Like, the things that we look at and we're like, oh my God, that's horrible. They're making millions, billions of dollars off of.
Yeah,
but she's got like her own like makeup line and stuff. They're pretty like you got to give her in that aspect some credit. She's done very well.
What you give the Kardashians credit for is that when they got a little bit lucky, they turned it into awesomeness, right?
Yeah,
they blew it up.
I'm not taking anything away from their savvy, their ability to make, but there goes your chance with Kim K, buddy. You just fucked that.
You're done.
That's all right. I can't even watch that video.
Your Tinder video says you're not tall enough. But so just be taller.
I also don't make enough to support. I can't support anything that she does. I'm good.
You can't support a day.
I've talked about this on the show before. One of the first couple episodes where I talked about disenfranchisement, right? And I talk about it with the veteran community, and this is why guys like the bro vet that calls everybody names, or the people that just throw out PTSD and like military sexual trauma like it's a blanket term, right? Like when you just throw that out there, now all veterans have this, right? Veterans are a minority, right? When you act like a jackass, you make us all look like a jackass, right? And so, no, you don't speak for me as a veteran. Right? I speak for myself, okay? And that's what's called being a steward of the profession, especially when you're in the Army. And I'll get into that in my book of Earl. But here's what happens with the African-American community or any other minority. You get disenfranchised, all right? That means without a voice. You don't get to say something because you are all of the same, okay? That simple. So when somebody starts, whether they're right or wrong, starts saying something outside of where the people in power want you. So yes, I do believe that people in power, I don't know if it's Illuminati, I don't know if it's, the First World Order or New World Order, whatever it's called, like they want to put people in certain blocks, certain communities, certain cities, and leave them there, right? That's the slave force. It's just a modern day slavery, right? It's where it's like, hey, you're over here, you vote for these people, shut the hell up. Okay, so when someone starts getting influential, right? Careful, right? Like then
once they have a voice, yeah.
And it's like there's another guy, I won't say his name, but he got iced too from a news network because he was talking about why are the heroes for the Black community like Beyonce? Like why is that the hero? Why isn't she coming out using her voice to make Black women stronger?
Do you remember when, not to interrupt real quick, Nick, but when Nicki Minaj, when COVID came out and she went on Instagram Live and was talking about how like she's not sure about the vaccine, she wants to do a little bit of research, and she has like 70 million followers.
Right.
The White House literally invited her to the fucking come to the White House. We need to talk about this.
Yes.
Because what you are talking about, and she was just uncertain. She was like, I just don't know if I want this vaccine. Like I'm not sure.
Maybe I want to be a thinker.
Yeah. That ended quick, and then a couple weeks later, she stopped talking about it. So
yeah. And
when you have that type of platform, do you think you have a responsibility though when you have a platform like that? Do you think I
think if you're getting paid for the influence that you do, I think you do have a responsibility to do your best to tell the truth, right? Whether it's the truth that you believe, and then maybe you get proven wrong, and you come out and say, hey, that's just what I thought. I'm wrong. I'm sorry, right? Or hey, looks like COVID is the flu. Seeing as now the CDC says you only need 1 shot a year and you're good. Weird. All right. So, but whatever. All my liberal friends like Eric and Reese, you can come back, right? Like I was never a COVID denier. I just didn't think everybody needed a vaccine. In fact, the CDC said
it was 100% a real thing. It was 100% a real thing.
But okay, so I'm going to cover the conspiracy real quick, and then my book of Earl will be quick. I've talked about this too with Michael Jackson. When all this happened, I think it was like on MySpace. I don't think Twitter existed, or other stuff existed yet. But the same thing with Michael Jackson is, let's say you have a kid and you sent him to this ranch, okay? And so one, you're smart, okay? Send him to this ranch, and this kid comes back and says, hey, this guy there like was touching me in bed, okay? And you know that this guy's worth billions of dollars, billions, and you settle for $6 million out of court. Like, if my kid was raped, one, there's nothing
there wouldn't be any money
would settle for.
Yeah,
nothing, right? And I would get the money because I would set up my family, and then I would murder him, right? Like that's what would happen. Okay, but so again, it's all when you start looking at the common sense things. But we got to do a fifth principle again. We kind of lost track of that. But the common sense doesn't make sense that you would settle out of court, nor would a lawyer. A lawyer would not settle out of court if they knew that he was guilty.
Well, the thing is that even then, they still have an ethical obligation to report it as a crime because it's still a crime. Whether because really what you're doing is you're okaying a crime, and you just pimped out your child for $6 million.
Right, and also he had an album getting released very quickly after that, so he paid to shut them up because he had an album coming out. Right, so that was another common sense link to where it's like, hey, let's make these accusations now because he's going to pay you real quick. All right, even though he's not guilty. Right, and just again, that's just the thing.
You don't think he was guilty?
I don't think he was guilty at all. I think he might have been doing some dumb stuff that Michael does, but I don't think he was actually a pedo. I don't. Yeah, because
what you're talking about psychologically, psychologically, the theory is literally that he was just trying to relive his childhood and he was still a kid because he didn't have one.
Yeah.
Because he started with the Jackson 5 and all. Like,
his dad
they started super early. Like traumatic childhood and stuff. Like, I don't know, man. He just didn't see.
He was the greatest artist. I was a big Michael Jackson fan. Greatest artist of all time.
100%. Spot on, dude. And
that 30 for 30 on him, where they talked about him in the studio, where when he was writing the music, he's like, I need a note to be this high. And they're like, that note doesn't exist. He goes, I'll just sing it. Right? So he was literally singing notes that instruments and machines couldn't produce. Like, that's insane.
He was super talented, and his music had meaning and messaging, and he was all about love and peace and all that shit. So yeah, I don't know, man. I remember when that shit, because I was still living in Germany, dude. It was like, oh, Michael Jackson fucks little kids, It's like, all right, well, done in my book.
So the book of Earl is pretty short because I've already posted it on my page. So if you go to VTT's Big Earl, all right, and it's on VTT official. I made up a new term called time-based leadership, right? To where, as a leader, you have to understand what the times are. And what gets me triggered, I do get triggered. Like I said, don't think that I don't get triggered. I get triggered all the damn time, right? What gets me triggered is when I see US what the fuck moments, when I see the Sergeant Major of the Army on Twitter, when I see these people begging for our senior leaders to look down and in, right? I've already talked about this. The senior leaders are not supposed to look down and in, okay? They're supposed to look up and out. All right, they're supposed to be preparing for the next thing. Now, as a human being, you should understand that you're not in touch with Generation Y and Z. If you're 60 years old and a general, you have no fucking clue what these kids are doing. All right, none. All right, so now let's double down on the Tom Brady, where he compares to the deployment. Everybody got triggered. Well, let's compare the NFL to the military leadership-wise. All right, there are old coaches in the NFL. You're seeing a new trend of younger coaches. Right, and the players are responding to them. Right, they're not coming up with anything new and grand, but they're younger. They reach the players. The players perform for them better. And then this is also a big shout out to the older coaches that have stayed relevant. Right, these guys have adapted. These older coaches. Look at Pete Carroll's like 80, right, and he still has everybody you talk to loves him that plays for him. Right, like he just adapts to the time. All right. You have to adapt to what the majority of your followers are like. right? You have to do that if you want to be engaged. All right, just like the times with the military. I know, buddy, we'll talk about this sometimes, and we've talked about before. Nobody, Generation Y and Z gives a shit about ponytails. All right, nobody Generation Y and Z gives a shit if men can wear beards. It doesn't bother us. We don't think it's unprofessional, right? So like there, it's literally shouldn't even be an argument, right? The senior leader should be like, just get a psychologist. Well, what will they perform better if they have beards? Yes. Okay, right? Like that's a real easy answer. All right, easy. But regardless, there are bad leaders. There are bad leaders, then there are senior leaders in any organization, not just military, the NFL, where you can tell that people just don't play for them. No matter how smart they are, they just don't play for them. And that's why when these coaches get fired, is because your job is literally to make them compete. And the military is the same way, right? You might not like me as a leader, but my job is to get you to perform. Now, if I want you to perform optimally, I want you to bring 100% of yourself to work every day. All right. If I can do that as a leader, then I am successful. If I get you to want to be there and want to work, all right, and perform, that's what it is. Causing action, create action. So, and time will always tell, right? If you're a significant leader, which none of us are, right? If you're a significant leader, they're going to write books about you, right? About what you did, how you did it. And that will last over time. Okay. But other than that, you have to adapt to the younger generation. You have to adapt to your followers. Okay. So think about that if you're in any type of leadership organization. All right. Like, it doesn't do you any good to be like, well, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Well, that's like all your employees, dude. Right. And then there's lots of stories out there. You could research on people who adapted and made changes. Look at Google. What did Google start with? Like 2 employees. Right. And now they got 35,000. Right. They get free food, they get free dieting. Like you can go to Google and eat their healthy meals. Why? Because they realize that, hey, if our employees are healthier, they'll work better. Weird. So they
What a concept.
Wow. But again, why didn't other organizations do that? Right? Like that's what separated them. And there are people who don't like the way Google, but that's fine. You just leave. Right? If you don't like that, just leave. But they are tremendously successful. So if you try to hate on them for how they run their offices, I don't have time for you. But yeah, that's the book of Earl. You have to transition to the times if you're a leader. Otherwise, walk the fuck away. Right? Go away. Right? Like, kind of what I did in the military too. I probably could have stayed in, but I was like, I'm not kind of out of touch with
man. You'd be sergeant major control by now.
It's like I didn't want to stick around with when I saw what was happening at the NCO Nickel Co. When I saw how they were doing the NCOES, I was like, I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm just going to be toxic. If I stay in the Army, I'll be toxic, saying that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Right? So it's like,
well, it's toxic, but it's toxic to who? Toxic to the powers that be that just. Like sergeant majors are notorious for walking around finger popping each other's assholes, telling them how great they are. They're the only people that think that they're awesome.
Right. Like, I've always said that you needed one sergeant major like at a brigade level. That's it. Right. Yeah. A master sergeant can work at the battalion level.
Yeah. Like, well, you were talking about like the people, the leaders that adapt, and they have some things in common. And one of those is like you can't adapt if you're not talking to the people that you have to lead, that you have to motivate. If you don't talk to them and find out what they're into because you're too busy with your head up your commander's ass to figure out what decision he's going to make for breakfast, like, come on, dude. Like, remember back, like I've said it a million times, back in the day, Sergeant Major Kirkover was notorious for running around down with the battalion, like, and asking team leaders and fucking privates, like, hey, what's the rate of fire of that fucking 249? And if you didn't know, he's like, oh, go find the team leader and come here. Yeah. Like,
are payday activities even a thing still?
Yeah. Like, and that was a culture shock when I was the first sergeant in Hawaii. I did legitimate payday activities. I'm like, hey, look, this could be a really fun day where we leave at 11, or we're going to.
That was a normal thing in the 82nd. But you'd always avoid the sergeant major because you're like, oh shit, I don't know the maximum, rate of fire on my M4 or whatever on my M249.
The other thing that gave, the other thing that gave him the opportunity to do, or gave them the good ones, like Jim Miller did the same thing. It gave them the opportunity to come down and be like, hey man, like I've talked to you before and you were pretty on it. What's going on? Because you don't seem with it right now. And it gave, a private or a specialist or an E5 or E6 the ability to go, well, there's some shit going on. And he's like, okay, cool. Let me go
Yeah,
talk to your platoon
for
sergeant
sure.
and
So
find out
What I
we're doing.
respected the most too is he knew your name too, and we're
Yeah.
talking about a couple hundred people in the battalion,
Yeah,
and it was just really.
But General Evans called me when he was colonel, like full-bird Colonel Evans. He called me and asked me how Becky, Natalie, and Caitlin were doing. You know, like
General Wong was the same way, man.
like
Every
Caitlin was
fucking
1 month
name you
old
could.
when we left that unit.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like holy cow. But no, so Javier Portel says you might be toxic, but you were right. No, see that here's where there's a difference. Like you got to think a little bit here, Javier. You are correct with what you said, but if I am refusing to look at it strategically, not understanding the system, what the organization is doing, right? If I refuse to look into that as a leader, then I become toxic to what the organization wants to do, right? Because I might not have the understanding of where the Army's going. All right, now if I choose to find out where the Army's going with it,
because the sergeant major in the Army, I don't think has an idea of where the Army's going either. So
right?
good.
Well, that's because he's on Twitter too much, talking about ponytails and shit. So, but
Yeah,
like, I've said this when I was at the Sergeant Major's Academy, right? The first question that they asked the Sergeant Major of the Army, it was in person, says, "What about the new fingernail policy?" I'm like, you got the senior enlisted guy in the Army standing in front of you, and that's the first fucking question you ask him about the new fingernail policy? Like, that's like I said, that's what I'm like. I'm not even going to worry about wondering what's going on in the Army anymore. I'm fucking out. Right. Like, no, like, and that's my own personal decision. All right, I'm not one of those guys who says, I got out because the Army sucks. No, I got out because I didn't think that I was going to conform.
Yeah, you're not the only person that I know that was at the Sergeant Major Academy. In fact, one of my buddies that was in 10th group ended up getting out at the Sergeant Major Academy because he was just like, and he was in the running for like top of the class, and he was in the
for like honor grad.
fifth.
Yeah,
he was in 5th semester and about to graduate, and he was like, "No, I can't do this. I cannot be a part of this organization doing what you guys are doing," and fucking got out.
Yeah, and that's the right thing to do. Just like
family.
Just like we heard from we heard from Troxel that it's like when you're in the Joint Chiefs and you're in that realm of the area, and it's literally in their doctrine that if you think that the president or the administration is going to do something that is going to put troops at risk unnecessarily, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to argue with them publicly. You're just supposed to resign. Like that's where everybody knows. Like when Mattis resigned, he did what he was supposed to do. He just left.
Why do you have generals? Some of them have also resigned right before all kinds of scandals came out.
Well, again, but that goes back to the beginning of the show. Is that scandal real,
Yeah.
or are they just trying to trash this guy's, character so that he can't,
Oh, you mean it?
Oh,
you mean that?
Yeah, I like that.
It's not crazy. It's not crazy to anybody that every general that said no, in private ended up, having some kind of weird dossier on them.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, that's what that is. So again, if you want to be a leader,
this show's going to get canceled.
You got to be engaged. You got to create action. You got to create people to bring 100% of themselves to work. And I didn't think I could do that anymore. So that's why I decided to get out personally. I was like, I don't think I can do that.
One last thing. Also, stop throwing the word toxic around. Like,
right,
making you do your freaking job. Exactly.
The
fucking
people
drives
first,
me nuts,
the people
man.
first is the new buzzword where you see toxic leaders throwing out people first. I'm like, and Buddy and I will always talk about this. We'll talk about it in the fifth principle.
Made you do your job. He's a toxic leader.
Do you know what people come first? Do you know what people come first to the United States soldier? The citizens of the United States. All right, that's who comes first. That's who you're supposed to protect. All right, that's what you signed up to do. And unfortunately, Tom Brady was the only one in this situation that got drafted. Okay, so let's just throw that out there.
Shout out to Tom Brady. Thank you for your service, Tom Brady.
Thank you for your service, Tom. But anyways, hey, let's get into our guest. Seeing as we are almost 15 minutes to the top of the hour. But what we started Veteran Trash Talk for was our own therapy. And we come on here every Saturday. We feel good. We chat. We got people in the chat thread talking, and then we have, hey Linda, what's going on? And then we also have
Linda.
We also have our group. VTT Official, which that other guy we talked about, he doesn't like that group anymore. That's fine, you're banned from it. But we don't ban you from the page.
Canceled, homie.
Yeah, you got canceled, bro. Like
you got yeed.
You got yeeted. But once we
started, we are the Illuminati.
Yeah, once we started to get a reach, like you said, that responsibility that we have. Once we started to become influential, we have a responsibility, right, to do the best that we can to share proper information. And so that's the angle we went. We're like, hey, let's start promoting nonprofits. let's start promoting veteran-owned businesses. Let's start promoting authors. Mr. Thomas Mulfetter didn't show up last week, but whatever.
It's a good book, though.
Yeah, that's what we decided to do. And we got John Boy on here, all right, who I met through another buddy who was on the show, Chris Lindner, with our bourbon review guy, right? And he was actually his officer when you were a medic in, right? And so he was he's a combat medic, right? So small world meeting El Paso. But here's where we get twisted up as veterans. I was like, what the hell is Veterans One Stop when I was talking to him? And it's like, how do I not know about this? Like, I literally promote nonprofits every week. And the biggest nonprofit for veterans in my backyard, I don't even know existed. Okay. But now that I know it exists, they do a breakfast every last Thursday. I go there, I hang out with some people, I hand out some VTT swag, because they celebrate birthdays, so they get a button, that kind of thing. And it's just great hanging out in that community. But that's the thing is, where's the voice? How do you get it out there? So that's what we're here to do now. John, welcome to the Trash Talk Hour. Tell us about your service a little bit, and what is the Veterans One Stop, and how can you use it?
Cheers. Appreciate it, guys. Glad to be here. So yeah, I served with back then Major Limmer in Iraq, and from there that was my first tour, and then I went to Germany and bomb holder with the 170th IBCT under Sergeant Major Grinston.
Nice.
Who's now the Sergeant Major.
I was in Grinston's brigade when I was in the 101st.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons I left the 101st and went to 5th Group.
I mean, I personally like the guy. I mean, when it comes
I fucking hated him.
I
got 6 more months, guys. Chill.
I've been trying to balance this out a little bit.
Okay.
As far as he does, as from what I understand, he was really big on his junior NCOs taking action and being able to feel confident in taking that action, not waiting for the permission to make the first move. So I'll give him that. But and I was also one of the only soldiers at the time to get inspected. My quarters inspected by him, which scared the crap out of me. But
you weren't ready?
Huh?
You weren't ready?
Hell no, I wasn't ready. No, I wasn't I got out as a foreman. So 6 years of deployment to Iraq and Afghanistan. My Afghanistan deployment was a little different. We were out in the middle of nowhere, and so it was. So I got, I guess, more of a broad perspective of being in the support hospitals, being on the line with the infantry and engineers, and so to get that full perspective. Yeah, well, weapons company is there with infantry, but combat engineers, which man, you get 11 Bravo and 12 Bravo talking. Oh my goodness, they'll go all day. But so I got out, and I had my own issues. Like I did, even though like I was the junior guys, I was doing I was their medical records like this thick. By the time they got out, and as we were told, hey, you just gotta give drink water, drive on type of thing. But then you see these sergeant majors getting out, and you see these E7s, all you guys getting out, and their medical records like this thick. So I felt like I set them up. Well, I was part of that problem. These guys are getting out. They having a hard time getting their disability, having a hard time getting transitioned, and that's pretty much the route I went. Like when I got out, before I got out, I was diagnosed with like PTSD, TBI, and all these things, and I had no idea there was resources. And I was like, I just want to get out. So when I got out, long story short, in the psych ward and with the Houston VA, and I was kind of, I just had no direction. And by the time I left Germany, I didn't have anything in the account. So at that time, I had a wife and one son. And but after I got help, I'm like, I'm 9 years sober now, even though I got 2 jugs of beer behind me.
It's flavored water.
Exactly, but
water.
and from there, I saw how powerful
water.
I saw how powerful it was to get help, and especially in a group settings like this, and because with being around individuals who knew how to speak the language and had similar experiences to myself. So I went to school, got my master's degree in psychology, and
from Utah.
First my bachelor's I started from the bottom. Houston Community College.
And now you're here.
Yeah, there you go. It wasn't.
You started from the bottom, and now you're here.
And now I'm here with y'all, sergeant majors and stuff like that. So
I like it. I like it.
And so like yeah. So, but the key is like discipline, right? So I took that discipline I learned from the military once I sobered up and be able to get a clear picture of what I was going to do. Started from Houston Community College to U of H, my bachelor's, and Houston Baptist University for my master's. And I'm actually going to UTEP to get my LPC now because, that way I can advance my career. But right now I'm the director of the Veterans One Stop. So, having that perspective, being able to kind of see like, like y'all, if y'all complaining about the view from up there, I can, y'all remember how it was, getting out that as that, specialist, and so that, just bringing that perspective, that expertise, that insight to these to a position to make change, to manage grants, to direct and work with stakeholders. Like it's funny, I'll bring up the Sergeant Major Academy because we're actually doing work out there. I was just there yesterday.
They need it,
and it is not. It's not to knock them or anything like that. It's just that it's again it goes to perspective. These guys they have their orders, they have their job, they gotta execute. So and not many individuals are gonna walk up. Us being soldiers or being veterans, we're men of action. We're not men of like politics and crap. So either go up there, say what you need me to do. What extra support you need. Unless you're at that point to be able to say, hey, this is what we can bring to the table with what the resources we have. Then yeah, the problems will continue going. But that's what I see here is that like Nick, like he's all over the place in El Paso. That's how we met, and we met, trying to basically watch out for our brothers and sisters. And there are going to be scout patrol airmen or whatever scouts that are going to have their opinions, but until they figure out like
pirate. Yeah.
What they have, what resources they have to offer, who they can, to make a solution. But anyways, that's enough about it.
No, that's phenomenal.
Go ahead, Nick.
That's phenomenal. How like you were struggling, and then you turned it into a career of like, hey, I know what I went through. How can I help? Other people who might be going through the same thing or similar. And again, no one's story is exactly the same, but there's thousands of people that have something similar. Right. And there might be a tool out of those 1,000 people that handled it the correct way. Right. One of those 1,000 tools might be one of yours. Right. So that's why you growth and diversity, and like, you learn that way. But so again, the Veterans One Stop, it's part of a bigger program for Texas, right? Or is it just El Paso?
Yeah, no, it's
nationwide, right?
No, it's where we're funded half through Emergency Health Network, and we're also funded half through Texas Veterans Family Alliance, under
greatest country in the world,
TVFA. And so what we have to offer, and this is like where we're a national model, is we offer free mental health services to veterans, active duty, and their families. And that also includes
active duty as well.
Yes, and that's what we're doing right now.
I work on forklift.
Yeah, so I work with
they need it out there too.
We started a it's called a Project Lifeline. So we're on post Monday, Wednesdays to do that. So you'll see us out at the Warrior Zone. You'll see us out there at the Soldier Activity Center, and you'll see us out there at Freedom Crossing. So right now, and because you have to care, right? I think a lot of times when you have individuals who are running these other mental health organizations, sometimes it's about the bottom line, to be honest with you. But I've been blessed enough to find myself in a position to where I can offer free services to active duty veterans and families and whoever they define as family. It could be an uncle that supports them really well, or someone off the street that takes care of them, like a caregiver, So I have not told a veteran or active duty member no yet, and
trying.
That's
every
the best.
time I go there.
I'm trying to get this guy in, but so anyways, I think what I love about the show is that like someone mentioned before, we are professionals that are continuing to impact change on this side of the fence. So,
absolutely.
And to be honest with you, El Paso, Fort Bliss is a really great opportunity because there are other units out there, are like Fort Hood and things like that aren't so transparent or aren't willing to open their doors to allow the community to come in and help.
Yeah, that's something.
So is Is it specifically mental health based, or is this okay? All right,
Yeah,
because
no,
I'm
no
trying to compare
medication.
it to like military one source. You know, they like provide it's like a variety of things. So this
I
is
would say
mainly
I would say I would say again, like even though I was a medic in the army with the infantry, all those guys, like I didn't really pay attention to those things. Like you wouldn't find me at the warrior zone. I'll tell you that much. Like, so I kind of feel like I'm like a contradiction in a sense because I assume that these guys are going to be here to get the help.
Well, no, it's selling the narrative of what's on base and what you're supposed to do with it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, actually teaching people what it's for, how to do it. And then you don't usually get those classes till like it's the first sergeant commander's course. And it's like, wait a minute, we have all this shit here? You know, and it's like
it's kind of sad, yeah.
Like,
Why are we not educating our, you know, E4s and just
so much
anybody
money dumped
essentially?
into it that just doesn't get used. You know, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you ask these commanders
Well-
and these first sergeants, like if these guys are busy, I mean, these guys have jobs. You know, these guys have a lot of things to do. But if you can look to these guys in the eye and say, look, we're here for you, and let us give a presentation. They'll let you
That was
in.
going to be my question because I was going to kind of lead into that. Into what I was saying is, so obviously you mentioned the area that you cover and stuff, but how many veterans can you take in at a time? Like, how big is this? You know, like Private
Right
Snuffy
now-
who just got out and he's in El Paso and he's going through some shit and he's like, hey, this looks like a great organization that can assist me. But now you got 20 people already waiting, or you know, I don't know how it works. You know, kind of explain to the viewers how that, you know, how that process works out. Like, I'm somebody needing help right now. What do I do? You know?
Well, we have had a lot. You know, we have. How do I say it? Like when I first took over, we didn't have much of a caseload at all. And now we're pretty maxed out. But the organization again I work for, they're very accommodating. Like they'll allow us to hire another therapist. They will keep up with the demand. You know, but again, that's because you know we as veteran leaders, you know, we have our soon to be veteran leaders have to take the initiative, have to put ourselves into these positions to be able to impact that change. In other words, to be corporate, to get into those what they call C-suite positions. And but like you said, when you're walking around all day long as a sergeant major, and you know you have people you know tooting you know whatever praises at you all day long, it's a different environment.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's a lot more discipline. It's a lot more political correctness. Like just to be on the show, kind of like you know, I'm just saying like we have to start up in our games, you know, and stop referring to the good old man. The army times were not a great time for me, but and then again, I wasn't there for so long. Like you know, I did what I had to do, but with the drinking and all that to cope, you know, it didn't facilitate for making it a career for me. I had to make the decision to change for that to open up.
Yeah, and like I won't say his name because he's still working at a fine establishment here near Fort Bliss. But you know, he put the seed in my head that he goes, you know, you strike me as the kind of person that's going to do a lot more when you get out. And he goes, trust me. He's like, you will actually help more people, and actually more active duty people out of the military.
And that's where it's at right there. Is yes, it's 22 a day. That's the conspiracy to me, because I'm here. I see the numbers. I see what we need here are individuals like ourselves right here who have the reach to these guys and say, look, if John screws you over, we'll check him. You know, like accountability is the key here. You know, and a lot of times we just like get heated about things and just let it go and run off somewhere. But if we, I challenge, that's what I see better in trash talk is a bridge. You know, you grab everyone up, we hold each other accountable, even with Air Scout. And like
those guys are
like
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, that's what ruins it for like he talked about for those of you watching. And I'm just starting to get into the corporate world a little bit. It's a different language, and you can't just fly off the handle and expect to keep your job, right? And we've had some friends, close friends, that have a similar instance. Part of our family that have done that, right? And it's like you can't do that, right? In the military, they might just make you do push-ups and give you a counseling statement. They're just going to fire your ass in the corporate world. And oh, by the way, if you want to actually make change and get funding, you got to be professional, right? You have to be able to talk to the people who have the money, right? And they're not going to want to give it to you and lose face. That's we run into that with Veteran Trash Talk when we're looking for partners. Because we're so raw and what we talk about, it's tough to get a corporate sponsor because they don't want to put their name on this. They love our stuff, but they're not going to put their name on it, right? Because we might put on someone's quote about whatever
Yeah.
on the show. And they're like, look, Applebee's is gone. So we're not but that's just what it
Ooh,
is.
maybe we can get Kanye to support a sponsor.
Kanye can sponsor us. Yeah, I'm gonna hit him up on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll take him. And then
100%.
Elon, we need to send him one of our shirts too.
Yeah, hey, that
I
shirt
think,
right there,
yeah.
Dave. Hey, that shirt's a grunt work shirt, right? It's also on shop.veterantrashtalk.com. So get
It
that
is.
free speech extremist.
But
Yeah.
I think you reached that number if they ever want.
Shameless plug
Oh.
right there, but
Yeah,
what it is.
so I'm gonna put anybody who's in El Paso or anybody who thinks about might want to donate to these guys or help out, maybe sponsor a breakfast or something like that. Then or sponsor an event that they do. I'm gonna put his number in the thread here,
or just getting the services,
Yeah, or find out how to help.
Yeah,
out.
so we also do and we also kind of streamline the process. So and who knows it better than people have been through it themselves. So when they come into services, we also partner with TVC, Texas Veterans Commission, so they can start a claim. So that gets you into clinical services, which then therefore goes right into claim assistance. So and then from there we also have the patient advocacy department there from Texas Veterans Commission for the VA. So if you have anything wrong with the VA, Paso VA, and you want to make a complaint, well then go see our guy from Texas Veterans Commission. And then we also have WGU, Western Governors University there. We also to help out with any kind of school issues. Grand Canyon University.
Where did
You don't have to be going to those schools to get the help.
Where did
be going to
you
YouTube.
Oh, did I disappear? Yeah.
He just disappeared completely.
It's the green screen.
Yeah,
Oh,
see,
there it is.
he's already
Oh, buddy.
He's already getting canceled.
I'm getting canceled. Kanye, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
Beat me up, Scotty. So I'm in a lot of trouble. But hey, buddy, hey, John, it's a pleasure having you on. Again, check out the Veterans One Stop. And the big girl will be there almost every last Thursday of the month getting that free breakfast, right? That's what I'm there for.
Oh, you had me at free breakfast. I'm
Exactly.
gonna drive all the way to El Paso to get one of those.
Using those
Yeah.
veterans, that veterans privilege, Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's how when they asked George Washington, all right, how to get the militia to train, he goes, offer up a keg of beer, right? And as soon as they offered up a keg of beer, out of the woodwork came all these people who could actually fight really good because they're freaking frontiersmen, woodsmen, like weird, and they just want to get drunk. All right. Well, everybody likes to eat. Okay, so you offer free food, people will show. All right, so that's just one of those things. But hey, buddy, recap us.
All right, recap. Here we go. A, if you are a minority, this is just minority, and you speak up, the conspiracy is that you get put in jail or killed or killed. Let's see. Then we got Nick's frickin' your little talking about Mr. Butthurt Cav Scout.
Yeah,
pussy
Air Scout,
pussy butt.
Air Scout.
Air Scout, Pogue, pussy
Right,
butt.
dude. Yeah, don't be a triggered pansy on our page. And if you say things that are like completely inappropriate, guess what? You get no 3 strikes. You're just out of here. They're gonna boot you. That's what we think. It doesn't make any sense. Why would we allow you to spew whatever vile bullshit you want to hurt other veterans? That's not how it works. Like, we're here to help each other, not to, I should be able to fucking say whatever I want to a pogue. Shut the fuck up. We're all veterans, you nerd. Anywho, and then we got John Boy with Veterans One Stop in El Paso. Go there every last Thursday, get yourself a free breakfast, but more importantly, go there on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you said, and talk to somebody about your mental health, whether you're active duty, retired, or you just got out. Even if you have a friend that needs some help, take them with you. Go get some help. Talk to them.
Yeah, sell them on the breakfast. Hey, by the way, talk to these people.
Yeah, and
by the way,
I want
you'll get a free shirt, Trash Talk shirt.
Yeah, I'll bring us some swag. Let's go.
There you go. You get a button.
Get a button.
But only if it's your birthday. Only if it's your birthday.
Limited supply from China. But
yeah.
Thanks for the recap, buddy.
Right. Hey,
that was a good recap, buddy.
It's rough at the beginning. I was like,
good
what
job.
the fuck did just happen?
Yeah.
What just happened?
I just blacked out what happened.
Yeah.
But all right, Dave.
Hey, thanks for coming on, brother. Thanks for sharing a little bit of the struggle that you went through as well. And what I love the most is, like, I think Nick hit on it a little bit, is individuals that have gone through struggle and they've been really, down in the gutter. And it sounds like you went through some stuff. We could have talked about it a little bit more. Maybe we'll have you on again. But then you rose from that, made a decision and said, I need some change, which we always talk about change starts within, you know, and you said, hey, something needs to give. You change yourself and now you're helping others. You know, I think
Are
to me,
you
that's a
just
success
quoting
story.
Tupac right now?
No, I was actually quoting one of my videos if you check them out on TikTok. But I think that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? And now you're helping others. And like if I'm gonna get help from somebody and I'm actually talking to somebody who's been through what I've been through, I think it's even a lot easier to relate to that individual. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Great organization. Super happy to have you on. For those of you that are watching, you definitely need to buy this shirt right now because Elon is on fire. Okay, free speech extremist. Go check it out on shop.veterantrashtalk.com and gruntworksclothing.com. Support the cause. Give us some money. I'm trying to build a pool in my backyard and I'm just making like $1 a shirt. So I'm not really making that much. And I got to split it with like 10 people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
trust me,
buddy's driving a Subaru. Yeah. A 90
Thanks
Subaru.
everybody for tuning in. And
it's actually a 98 F350.
We'll catch you guys next Saturday. Love y'all.
FleetTex is a proud partner of Veteran Trash Talk and has bought into the mission of lowering the veteran suicide rate. FleetTex wants to hire veteran trash talkers to install GPS tracking systems on fleet vehicles, focusing on Illinois, New Jersey, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee, but opportunities exist nationwide. Go to www.fleet-techs.com and apply today.